of the hottest handguns on the market right now is the Canik Prime Radian. It's all over my YouTube homepage right now, and everyone has done a review on it. And I got to shoot it at GunCon, and it is a pretty amazing gun. Well, a couple years ago, this gun was all the rage. This is the original Canik MC9 Prime. And after shooting a few rounds through the Radian, it got me to thinking, is this gun still relevant now that the Radian is out? Well, my good friend Matt from the RTT Guns and Gear channel, he was nice enough to loan this to me to do a review on. So let's head out to the range. We're going to go over everything we got on the menu today for this. And at the end of this video, I'm going to give you my opinion on whether you should get this, which is coming in right around $550, or if the Radian, which is coming in at $300 to $350 more, is actually worth it. All right, here's what we got on the menu today. Now, all this ammo is 115 grain. We've got some Monarch. We got the Remington. I assume this is just like their UMC ammo. We've got CCI Blazer, Federal American Eagle, and 115 grain Armscor. Now, I'm no stranger to this handgun. I've actually shot it at a couple range days that I've been to. But the problem with range day events, you normally only get 5 rounds in a mag. If you're lucky, you might get 10. And if you want to shoot the gun again, you're going to have to get back in line, wait for everybody in front of you to shoot it, and then run another 5 or 10 rounds through it. So it's pretty hard to give you an opinion of the shooting experience with the gun when you're only getting to shoot 5 or 10 rounds. Now, I've shot a lot of striker-fired handguns, and I've reviewed a lot of striker-fired guns on this channel. And after I shot the first mag through this gun, I knew I was really gonna like it. This gun felt like it was just meant for my hands. Now, I've always been a fan of Canik. I had the original TP9 in the peanut butter FDE color, and I really liked that gun. And that gun was the reason I ended up buying this one. This is the TP9 SFX, and I've got thousands of rounds through this gun. I can't even count how many optics I've reviewed with this gun, and I've shot this gun in a few USPSA matches. And after I got it, I quit shooting my TP9. It wasn't optics ready, so I ended up getting rid of that one. But there's one thing I don't like about this gun, but they fixed that when they came out with the Meta series. If you're a wrong-handed shooter like me, well, this gun does not have an ambi, slide lock, slide stop, slide release, whatever you want to call it. But now if you look, you have the slide stop on this side and on this side. And it comes all the way back to about the middle of the grip, and it's very easy to hit that without breaking your grip on the gun. So now the biggest difference between the Prime and the Prime Radian is the Prime Radian is compensated. It's running the Radian Ramjet and afterburner. And the backstrap on the Prime Radian is completely different. And the backstrap is also made by Radian. And the other really cool thing about how the afterburner and Ramjet system works, it's not a threaded barrel. And that's basically their workaround for states that don't allow you to have a gun with a threaded barrel. Now with the Canik Prime, you have a ported barrel and a ported slide. So when the slide is forward, your ports on the barrel are lining up with the ports on the slide. And when you got a ported barrel with a ported slide like this, it definitely helps with the muzzle rise, which is great for keeping you on target and giving you a little bit of an edge with faster follow-up shots. Now, does the Radian work better when it comes to the muzzle rise, the felt recoil, than the original Prime? Yes. Is it worth the extra $300 to $350 for that little bump in performance? Well, my takeaway on that is, if you already have the Prime, probably not. Now, if you don't have the Prime, and you're looking to get one of these two guns, well, now it's a different story. Because after watching Matt's review on the Radian, it definitely shoots a little flatter, and I definitely prefer the backstrap on the Radian over the one on this. Well, while we're talking about the backstrap, let's talk about how this gun feels in my hand. Now, I've got big 2XL hands, and when you're looking at this gun, it looks pretty small. It's fairly slim. Definitely would be a good carry option, but even though this gun is small, it is very comfortable to shoot, even if you got bigger hands like me. One of my favorite things about the frame is that grip texture. It's got that sandpapery feel that I really like. You've got it on the back strap, you got it on the front, and the other great thing that they did that a lot of other gun companies don't do, that texture goes all the way up here. So even your thumb is sitting on that nice texture. And then on top of all that, they put a great undercut right there. And then with the magwell, when you grip this gun, the magwell is pushing your hand up into that undercut. You got all that texture to grab a hold of. And then you take the compensated barrel and the compensated slide, and this gun shoots stupid flat. So now let's talk about how Matt's got this pistol set up. For the optic, he's got the Holosun 507K on here. Now the reason Matt's got the 507K on this is because this slide is cut to direct mount any optic with the RMSC footprint. But Canik took it one step further than a lot of companies do. And if you look how deep that optic is sitting down in that slide. Now this has also got some really nice backup sights on it. These are from Fision. You got that orange tritium sight in the front. The rear sight is blacked out, does have serrations on it. But even though it is a blacked out serrated rear sight, you still have the 2 green tritium inserts in there if you choose not to run an optic on this and you want to shoot this in low light. But the reason I bring up how deep they cut the slide for the optic, because a lot of guns, they don't do that. Then you got to put super high suppressor height or optic height sights on it. But that's not the case with this one. These sights are pretty low profile, but you can still co-witness these sights through the optic because they did cut that slide so deep. And speaking of the slide, it's got some great front and rear serrations on it. They're cut in nice and deep, so even if your hands are all sweaty and you go to rack the pistol from the front, it's not going to be an issue. Now let's talk about what Canik is famous for. But before we do that, I'm going to show you this gun's clear, no mag, nothing in the chamber. When it comes to Canik, they make some of the best triggers, if not the best trigger, when it comes to striker-fired handguns. And it seems like every model they come out with, they get just a little bit better. But when it comes to the trigger, but you got a nice clean take-up, right there's that wall, and you just get a nice clean break. But what's nuts on these is the reset. It's right there, like barely moved. Let me show you that again. Right there. And then you get that nice clean break. Amazing trigger. And the Radian is no different. It's got an amazing trigger in it as well. Now I've got my Wheeler trigger pull scale here. I just want to see what this is pulling at. 3.5 pounds. Badass trigger. Now one thing we haven't talked about yet, capacity. This does come with 2 17-round mags. And here is your mag, which is pretty awesome because we're going back to that again. This gun is very slim, very easy to conceal carry, but the length of that grip is pretty much a full-size grip, and you're able to carry 17 rounds. And one other really cool little touch here on the mags, if you look at the base plate, you got that same texture. You got it on both sides, so if that mag gets hung up, you got something to grab, strip the mag out of the gun. Nice little touch there. So let's get into the pros and cons of the Canik MC9 Prime. And when it comes to cons, I've only got one con with this pistol. And that's going to be the thumb ledge, or lack of. Yes, I do like that texture up there in the front. It does give you some place to put your thumb and really be able to push down on the front of the pistol. But I would have liked to seen them cut that in to where you actually had a physical ledge to lay your thumb on. But other than that, it's really the only con I have with this gun. Now, when it comes to pros, we've pretty much already covered them all. The standouts for me, number one is the fully ambi controls. Being a wrong-handed shooter, having a slide stop like this, being able to switch the mag release, I really appreciate that when a gun company does that. The next pro is the trigger. You're very rarely ever going to hear anyone buy a Canik and say the trigger sucks in the gun. And the next pro for me is how small this gun is, but how well it fits my hand. The design of the frame is just awesome. You got that nice undercut, the texture, the magwell. You take it and put it all together, and it just works amazing. The next pro with this, you do have a 1913 accessory rail out on the front. Matt's got the Streamline TLR7X sub on here, and from the looks of it, the Streamline TLR HLX would fit on here, and even my Olight PLX would fit on here. My next pro with this, especially for me with all the Optic reviews I do, is how deep they cut that slide. You don't have to use a plate. You don't have to buy stupid tall suppressor height or optic height sights. And I know a lot of people are going to complain, well, it's got the RMSC footprint. Nowadays, that doesn't matter. Almost all the optic companies now are making big window RMSC footprint dots. Most of them are open emitter, but we're starting to even see bigger window closed emitter dots coming out with the RMSC footprint. My last pro with this, compensated barrel, compensated slide. And you're always going to get the idiots in the comments that say, it's a 9mm, it doesn't need a comp, it doesn't need ports, it doesn't have any recoil as it is. Those people are completely stupid. Do you need comps, ports for 9mm? Most people don't. But one thing it does, it gives you a little bit of an advantage. It does help with that muzzle rise, does help with quicker follow-up shots. And if you can add a little bit of performance to a gun and it still runs reliably like this, well then it's great. And then you're going to get the people who say, well, if you're carrying a gun with a comp or a ported barrel and you shoot this gun at night, you're going to get all these flames, all the smoke, sparks, you name it. You're going to be blinded and you're not going to be able to get a second shot. I've heard it all. And most of the people that make that stupid comment, they've never shot at night. They've never done any training at night. I don't care what gun you shoot after dark. Flames are going to come out of the front of the barrel. Sparks and flames are going to come out of the chamber, and you're going to have smoke. It just happens. This makes no difference at all. I've shot a lot of guns at night. I've done a lot of light reviews, and I can tell you that a comp or a ported barrel makes zero difference when it comes to shooting at night. So I said at the end of the video, I would give you my final thoughts on whether I would buy the Prime or the Prime Radian. And my takeaway is after 500 rounds through this gun, you already have the Prime. I probably wouldn't get the Radian. They're both great guns. I'm not saying anything bad about either one. But if I already had this, I don't think I would want to spend another $350 for the upgrade. I don't think it's significant enough. Now, if I had that gun and I put 500 rounds through it, would my tune change? Possibly. Now, what if you don't have the Prime already? Well, that's a little bit of a different story. And a lot of that's going to depend on your budget. If you got the money to burn, then go ahead and get the Radian. Because even though it's a minor upgrade, when it comes to performance, it's still an upgrade. But if you're on a budget, and the price on these is probably going to come down a little bit because now everybody wants the Radian, this is a hell of an option. And I'm going to have a really hard time giving this gun back to Matt because it's one of the best striker-fired pistols I've ever reviewed on the channel. So I want to give a big shout out to Matt from RTT Guns and Gear for letting me borrow this gun. And if you want to watch a great review on the Radian, I'm going to link that down in the description below and at the end of this video. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.